Welcome to my channel Adhyan with Flow. Now our next topic is transmission of impulse from neuron to neuron. Previously we are study about how impulses transferred in neuron cells. Previously we study about how neuron transfer to dendrites to cell body and cell body to axon. Now signal is reached here. Now what happened next? This is the another neuron and how the signals reach to this neuron we're going to study now. Let's start. A nerve impulse is transmitted from one neuron to another through junction called synapses. Distance between two neurons. Okay, here distance between two neurons. We call it as a synapse. A synapse is formed by the membrane of a presynaptic neuron. This is the zone of presynaptic neuron and this is the postsynaptic neuron. Okay, which may or may not be separated by a gap called synaptic cleft. This is separated by there are some cleft. There are two types of synapse, okay, namely electrical synapse and chemical synapse. Okay, at electrical synapse the membrane of pre and postsynaptic neuron are in very close proximity. If two neurons are almost close, then their electrical impulse is present. Electrical impulses are present. Here distance between two neurons is very less. So electrically impulse easily conduct from one neuron to another neuron across the another term. Transmission of an impulse across electrical synapse is very similar to impulse conduction along a signal axon. Means we saw that axon how this conduction of signals. Same trick in this electrical synapses, electrical transmission. Same, both are same. Okay, axon and electrical transmission both are same. Axon layer also do same thing. Positive come inside and negative goes outside. And same, if electrical impulse generate from one neuron to another neuron, they do same process. Positive charge goes next neurons inside and next neurons negative signs come outside. Impulses transmission across an electrical synapse is always faster. This electrical impulse is faster than chemical impulses. Now next, at chemical synapse, the membrane of pre and postsynaptic neuron are separated by fluid space called synaptic cleft. Look at here. I explain here. This is the synaptic cleft. This is the first neuron's presynaptic zone. This is the first neuron. And this is this area. This is the second neuron's dendrite. Dendrites. And this is first neuron's ending. Okay, look at here. This is first neuron and this is their ending. And here second neuron's dendrites. Okay, this area zoomed here. Look at here. Now look at here. Now signal transduction. This is axon and axon transfer their signal at axon terminal. Axon transfer their signal towards axon terminals. Axon terminal transfer their signals synaptic vesicles. Same, plus come outside, minus goes outside, plus come inside and minus goes outside. Same trick. Now synaptic vesicles contain what? These synaptic vesicles contain what? This whole structure is synaptic knob and synaptic knob contain synaptic vesicles and synaptic vesicles contain this. What is this? This is neurotransmitters. What is the neuron transmitter? This is the chemical work as a signal molecule, and these molecule release outside of the cell. And here already dendrites receptors are present. They bind with their receptor and conduct signal towards next neuron. So this is the whole mechanism of how one neuron to another neuron signal can move. Here a neurotransmitter release and dendrites can bind with the neuroreceptor and same process. One neuron to next to other to next to next and reach at CNS. So this is all about transmission of impulses. chemical called neurotransmitters are involved in the transmission of impulses at these synapses. Of course, gap between two neuron, we call it as a synapse. And neurotransmitters release in synapse. Of course, the axon terminal contain vesicles filled with their neurotransmitters. Of course, this is synaptic knob. Synaptic knob contains synaptic vesicles. Synaptic vesicles contain neurotransmitters. When an impulse arrives at the axon terminal, look at here, axon terminal, it stimulates the movement of the synaptic vesicles toward the membrane where they fuse with the plasma membrane. I already teach you here. Axon pass their signal towards axon terminal. Axon terminal pass their signal towards synaptic vesicles. Synaptic vesicles fuse with neurotransmitters. So neurotransmitter burst out in synapse, and other neurons generate. They have receptor. So synapse molecule neurotransmitters bind with receptor and generate signal for other neuron. That's it. That's all about it. Specific receptor. Now let's start some brief introduction about central nervous system. Central nervous system contains brain and spinal cord. Brain and spinal cord. This is the structure of brain. Look at here. This is the structure of brain. Forebrain zone, midbrain, and hindbrain. Or this is the spinal cord. Clear, guys? Very clear. Brain is the center of control and coordination of signals. Brain is the center of control and coordination of daily movement. Okay, command and control the system. They command and control the whole body system. The brain is well protected by skull. Of course, covered by skull for more and more protection. Inside the skull, the brain is covered by cranial meninges. What is cranial meninges? These are layer. They consist of layers. Like first layer, outer side, we called it as a first dura mater. Outside, outer layer. A very thin middle layer, we call it as a arachnoid, middle layer. And inner layer, we can call it as a biomatter. Means outer layer, we call it as a dura mater. Middle layer, we call it as a arachnoid. And inside, we connect with brain. This membrane is called it as a biomatter. In a group, they call it as a cranial meninges. So brain can divide it into three parts: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Look at here. Forebrain, they cover cerebrum, thalamus, hypothalamus, this zone. Midbrain, this zone. Hindbrain, pons, cerebellum, and medulla oblongata, and little bit spinal cord. So this is brief introduction about brain. So let's start with forebrain. Forebrain consists with three parts: cerebrum, thalamus, and hypothalamus. Three things. This is the gland. This is the master of the master gland. This portion covered maximum area. And hypothalamus attached with thalamus. Okay. Cerebrum forms a major part of the human brain. Of course, a deep cleft divided the cerebrum longitudinally into two halves. Of course, when we look at this, this is a house that divide the brain into two parts. This house, we can call it as a cerebral hemisphere. This is a one portion, left side, and this is the right side. If we look at top view of brain, it is the top of the brain. The hemisphere are connected by a tract of nerve fiber called corpus callosum. This is not visible. This is below the cerebral hemisphere. Corpus callosum is located there. Okay, the layer of cell which covers the cerebral hemisphere is called cerebral cortex, and it is thrown into prominent folds. This hemisphere is covered by multiple fibers and lobes. This lobe different, this lobe different. Lobular structure and covered by fibers. We call it as a cortex. Outer side, we call it as a cortex. The cerebral cortex is referred to as a gray matter. Because this is a green color. The neuron cell bodies are concentrated here. Bilkul. Here lots of neuron over there. The cerebral cortex contains motor areas, sensory areas, large regions that are neither clearly sensory nor motor in function. These regions called as association area. In this area, multiple neurons are there. It may be motor neuron, it may be sensory neuron. It may be motor area, it may be sensory area. Okay, grouply we call it as a association area. I'm writing here. What is association area? Association area contain sensory area of the brain and motor area of the brain, because sensory neuron attached with sensory area, motor neuron attached with motor area. This grouply called it as a association area. So association area are responsible for complex function like intersensory association, memory, and communication. Like this is the IQ level. They decide person's intelligence, sense of humor. Fibers of the tracts are covered with myelin sheath. Of course, we study before that here multipolars neurons are found. Now, I told you before, learn this. Constitute the inner part of cerebral hemisphere. They give an opaque white appearance. Inside the cell, inside the hemisphere, look at here. Inner part of the cerebral sphere is white in color. So we can call it as a gray matter or white matter because white in color. So we can call it as a white matter. Okay, white matter term is clear, very clear. The cerebrum wrap around the structure called thalamus. Of course, here thalamus and cerebrum covered. Okay, this is a thalamus. This is the cerebrum. So cerebrum covered the thalamus and hypothalamus. This is the thalamus and this is the hypo. This is the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus. Another very important part of the brain called the hypothalamus lie at the base of the thalamus. I told you, lie the base of the thalamus. This is the hypothalamus. This is the master of the master gland. Next, hypothalamus contain number of centers which control body temperature, of course, urge for eating and drinking. This is most important area. Here there is some 1-2 points, but we know that this secrete lots of hormone. They control and coordinate pituitary gland, and our body's function, as well as they control on drinking, body balance, eating, body temperature. It also contains several group of neurosecretory cell. Look at here, which secrete hormones called hypothalamic hormones. The inner part of cerebral hemisphere and a group of associated deep structure like amygdala, hippocampus. Inside the brain, there is many more structure. Inside the inner part of the brain hemisphere, they have amygdala and hippocampus. These are most important structure, most they decide our IQ, intelligence. Okay. Now it involved in regulation of sexual behavior, of course, first work. Second, expression of emotional reaction. Second special feature, excitement, pleasure, rage, and fear and motivation. This is lots of they control amygdala and hippocampus. They are present. We know that outer side is cortex region. This is the cortex region. Gray matter. Inside, what is the inside? It's white matter. They contain amygdala, hippocampus. So this is all about forebrain. Forebrain also divided into some part. Like we hear the cerebrum. Cerebrum divided into four lobe. Frontal lobe. This is extra. Partial lobe, occipital lobe, and temporal lobe. Temporal lobe. Frontal lobe responsible for muscular activity. Partial lobe responsible for emotions. Occipital lobe responsible for vision. And temporal lobe responsible for hearing. This is extra. This is not your NCERT. I give you extra. If you want to detail study about cerebrum, so cerebrum divided into 4 lobes. The name of the 4 lobes is frontal lobe, partial lobe, occipital lobe, and temporal lobe. Now, little bit function of midbrain. What they control and they have some area of thalamus and hypothalamus, cerebral adequate, and they control little bit part of the body, nothing more. The most important is hindbrain. They contain pons, cerebellum, and medulla. This is the pons. Here cerebellum, and here this is the medulla part. This is the medulla part, this is the pons, and this is the cerebellum. Look at here. Look at here. Pons consist of fibrous tract that interconnected different region of the brain. This is made up with fibrous. Okay. Cerebellum have very convoluted surface in order to provide the addition space of many more neurons. They contain many neurons and provide extra space for brain and connected to the spinal cord. And medulla connected to the spinal cord. This is medulla part, and further this is connected with spinal cord. Spinal cord. 3 major regions make up the brain stem. Of course, this is the stem. Look at here. This is the brain. This is the pons region, and this is the cerebellum. This is a stem, look like a stem, and this is the bunch of tree. So made up of midbrain. Here is midbrain, or pons and medulla oblongata made up stem. Brain stem form the connection between the brain and spinal cord. This stem connection between brain and spinal cord. Alright guys. Now in next video we will talk about reflex action. So if you like my video, please subscribe my channel. Keep supporting me. Thank you. Thank you for listening me. Keep smiling and keep revise. Thank you.